Surprise, I'm back with a vengeance. Dr. Ramona Brockett, I don't know what you've been doing, but you're looking absolutely gorgeous. I got to come and drink the same water you're drinking because you found the fountain of youth. What's up with that?
At almost 63, listen, we're both from where? Jamaica, via Ghana, via East Africa, you know, because we're Hebrews. So the Lord keeps us looking young. And when you're chosen, you stay looking good for a long time because you got to fight.
Well, like I said, you are proof positive that there's a mighty God you serve, because only a mighty God could have fashioned your beauty. It's ageless, timeless. Blush if you want, because you know I'm going to say it. You know I'm going to tell you.
It's so funny. Thank you. Thank you.
So much, and came out finer than before.
It's chosen. Apparently you are too, because you look young. You look young. You lost weight. You're looking like you're like, I don't know, 35 to 45. You're looking wonderful, dude.
My head's already got like a 7 terabyte size. Don't blow it up anymore. But thank you so much.
You
don't notice how big my head is until I turn it sideways. You say, whoa, he's got this thing going on.
You're so crazy. How do you like, we miss you here in America. How do you like where you're at? How do you like Ghana?
I love it. I'm a born, dyed in the wool New Yorker. I'm still a New Yorker.
You and me both.
Because of the shit in America. That's not just the reason why I left, but now that I'm here, I feel so good. And me seeing what's going on and a lot of the things that you talked about and brought to my attention and to the world's attention is happening now. And there's things that I saw, but I feel so good here that it's like I grew up here. It's like I was born here. I don't crave the excitement and chaos. And here's the analogy I always use. Little kid coming home from school, 7, 8 years old, heavy knapsack, but they're playing with their friends. It's a heavy bag full of books. It's a Friday. Got to bring all the books home to study and do the book reports and stuff. Well, when they get into the room, they drop the bag on the bed and realize how heavy it was. Realize the weight that's on you in America. I'm not saying this is for everybody,
right?
But when I came out of there, I'm here and I'm home. I don't think about anything else. I love my people there. I love the land there, but I do not love the system there. And with some of the people, the attitude and the tension, which is unnecessary. Completely. I am so free here. You go out, I can go out now. Right now, it's 2:15 in the morning.
It's 9:15 here in New York.
Dark roads, and I can hear somebody out there. Good evening, how are you? You're walking to the town? I'll walk with you. What's your name? People are polite. They speak. There's no tension. Now, down in the crowd of major city, it's the hustle and bustle, but it's still not the danger. And little crimes happen, granted, but it's not like here. You're not looking over your shoulder. This is the first time in my life I'm like, so when people travel and get a taste of that feeling, it's nothing like when you come here and you're here for a month, you're here for 6 months, you're here for a year, you're here. This September 16th, when we drop down in Ghana, will make 5 years for me. And I have no urge to come back. I'm not amping it up.
Wow. No, and I understand, the tension and stuff. What is interesting to me and what is so sad at the same time is that I really thought that America would take a U-turn. But instead of doing a 180, they are still with their, 360. They're right back where they started. Nothing's changed. Back in 2013, and I thank you so much for allowing me to talk on your show and our show.
Wait a second. Allowing, you got the key, you got the debit card, you got the extra car. You know you can come in here anytime. Your family.
I know.
Family, there's no expiration date.
Absolutely not. But back in 13, back when, you know, the sons and daughters of Gomer and the Pickaninnies were coming after me, you know, you gave me a platform, you know, to talk and to make people aware. I really think that that's important. And I also think that a lot of people don't understand really what's going on. I really think that people, especially people who look like you and I here in America, are so lost. You know, I don't mean to just jump into this, but I got to jump into this tonight, babe. I got to.
We don't know no other way.
No other way. You know, people today were all upset. You know, they had this congressman on, you know, talking about DEI and all upset and mad with Trump and so on and so forth. Back in 2013, June 25th, I believe it was 2013, when Eric Holder's office and he lost the argument in front of the Supreme Court regarding voting rights, concluding that we are a race neutral society. So there's no need to, you know, regulate voting rights or regulate where people can vote. You know, we don't need to look at the gerrymandering. We don't need to look at that anymore because we're race neutral. And people were wondering after that decision came down, why are people standing up and fighting for voting rights? Didn't we get that back in the 60s? No, we really didn't even get it then. And you know, we did all this talk on our shows in the past, but you know, we're starting off here, and I need people to understand what the foundation of this discussion is all about. You know, and I have to just make a note here because I want to get back to something about Africa in a minute. But I mean, like, you know, it's people seem to forget that people died for voting rights. People seem to think that when President Johnson turned around and handed that pen to Martin Luther King, that it was significant. It wasn't. Nothing was significant. He told Martin that he was going to sign the right to vote from that 60s date until 1982, when he said he thought the Southern Democrats would be more on board, you know, with voting rights for people of color, ex-slaves, okay? And the reality is that didn't happen. In 82, Reagan passed it on for another 25 years till 2007. And in 2007, W signed it until 2032, another 25 years. So my thought was that when Obama got in, he would do what Trump is doing now: executive order, executive order, executive order. If they don't like it, take it to court. Executive order, right? Executive order. Full voting rights for Black folk. Executive order. No more electoral college. Let me just step on that for half a minute because it coincides with what I'm talking about. The electoral college, we have to go back to the Lincoln, you know, when he was elected. And in the South, there were like 4 million whites and about 6 million Black slaves. And what they said was, our votes will not count like they should because we have all these beings, not human, but beings working for us, you know, not even slaving for us, free labor. So we should have a vote and 3/5. Of course, Blacks in this country were only considered 3/5 human. So each one of those Southern state people had a vote and 3/5. Let me tell you something. Have you ever heard people from the South say the South won, you know, the South won? Have you ever heard that terminology?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
Why do you think they say that? Do you have
no idea? I have no idea.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm putting it on the record. The South did win. Why?
Wow.
The Electoral College is who decides the presidency. Who makes up the Electoral College? All of the slave-owning states. Let me say it again.
Oh,
All of the slave-owning states are part of the Electoral College. So when I think about that, I then understand why during the Obama administration, so many things were rolled back with regard to people of color, especially Black folk. I'm gonna call us Black folk, period. And I'm gonna tell you another reason why I'm called us Black folk. I gotta jump to this. These two sociologists / anthropologists, right, recently determined that Egypt originally was made of Black people, but they weren't African, but they were Black.
really? You're not African.
When I found out in my own family that we were originally Hebrews escaping, and that my great grandmother was taken in Ghana, her and her family, as indentured servants, her and my family, as an indentured servant, and sold to a Scottish lord named Brockett with one T. He happened to fall in love with her, had kids. In 1833, when slavery was over in Jamaica, he gave the land to his Black children and a whole lot of rights there and in Scotland. Very interesting. My great-great-grandfather didn't come to America till 1877, and he was born in 1857, so he never experienced slavery. Anyway, that's a talk for another day. But these are the people that we come from, Lance. Our people ended up in Ghana. They were taken in as indentured servants and sold to, the Jews, the Europeans, and I say Jews. We'll talk about that later. As you know, the J sound wasn't even introduced to the Hebraic language until the 14th century. So when I say Jews, I really don't know what to call them. I know the Hebrews are authentic. I know in my own family, we can trace our roots back to both the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah. I don't know what these other people can trace their background to. All I know is this. The Black folk in America who are screaming right now about what Trump is doing, I need to know, Lance, why were they silent as we lost one right after the next under the Obama administration?
There you go.
Even now you had moved by this time, but I would say maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, all of a sudden they wanted to take down all the Confederate flags, all the Confederate busts, that are like there in Richmond, they have the Confederate guys who did all this stuff. They want to take everything down related to slavery. In fact, they even want to teach that when the people were enslaved, they were being trained to have their own businesses down the line. They want to do all that. And I find it insidiously curious. And I mean insidiously curious. Because now, when this administration has gotten rid of DEI and, our elections, we no longer have the right to vote, and I put that in quotes. Of course, the Trump administration can do what they're doing because the road was opened up for them to do what they were doing. Of course, the Electoral College made sure that Obama won both terms. Gays needed rights. Blacks needed to get rid of rights. Gays needed to use black to get rights. Blacks are nowhere to be found now in America what are we going to hold on to? There's nothing. The
Nothing.
only place we can go back to is education. My sister went to a school in Brooklyn called St. Augustine's.
Mhm.
It was pronounced that way because it was a West Indian school based upon the British, the British template for education.
Mhm.
When we moved from Brooklyn to Madison, New Jersey, very pishy-poshy little town, $1 million homes plus. They start at $1 million now.
Right.
Rebecca was 2 years ahead of her colleagues that were in the same class in 6th grade. 2 years ahead. And the people met with my parents and they were like, we want to move Rebecca up to 8th grade because she's got so much knowledge. And my
Right.
parents said, no, keep her in the class. Becky knew stuff that those kids still don't know. Okay. And you know what I'm saying? And you know
Yeah.
what was so deep? Now she's older than I am. Okay. She's 6 years older than me. So she was, in preschool and in elementary school until my family moved to New Jersey from Brooklyn.
Right.
Now, what's interesting about that is, and regular people would say St. Augustine's, but you understand why it's St. Augustine's. You understand.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, there was learning like the British system. So she knew Latin and languages and math and science. And oddly, a couple years after we left Brooklyn, St. Augustine's burned down. Those kids who are now in their who are now our age to like late 60s, maybe 70s, those kids became doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs. Those kids were so smart because of how they were taught and what they were taught. And also they were taught to respect themselves, to enjoy achievements, to regard working hard as something that you are supposed to do. They were not educated to hope that they could suck from the tit of America in order to make it. They were told they don't need to suck any tit, they can make it. Right. And that is something that you tell me if I'm wrong, as West Indian folk and children of a long line of West Indian Jamaican people. Isn't that what we're taught anyway?
Exactly. I don't understand. Well, see, we had more hands-on with that trajectory and momentum that came down through slavery, whether you were enslaved or not. It wasn't a slave thing. It was a integrity thing. It was a pride thing.
Pride and power. Pride and power. Power comes from pride, not arrogance, but pride. Okay.
Right. But see, we would never find our sisters in the street twerking half naked.
Never.
We would never see brothers out there eager plun and brag that they're a gunman. You see what I mean? That lower vibration that many people associate with Jamaicans, which we know all Jamaicans are not that way, but it's convenient to publicize them over the media. And the ones who come from the lineage of you and I, they kind of don't get the attention. And they're so embarrassed, many of them, because the first thing when you say you're Jamaican to people who are ignorant, weed, the first thing out their mouth. You see what I mean? So,
of course.
Yeah, and they've devalued the overall imagery, which it hasn't devalued us, but the imagery to the world. So to make it easy to want to destroy a people, you use the media that you're like the marionette puppet, and they do your call.
That's
they do your bidding. So now we're going to season up the imagery of a certain people, right? And all Black people, the imagery. Me moving here to Ghana, I had some very frank conversations with people who knew me and followed me for years before I even stepped foot over here. I said, listen, you got to tell me, honestly, how do you view, in general, Black Americans?
Mm.
And they were hesitant because, for the most part, these are very reserved, upset card, and used it.
Right.
I got it out of them. They say that you're chaotic and troublemakers and so easy to want to fight, and we're kind of apprehensive. Like deep down, they're not saying everybody, but from the imagery that they see on the television and on the so-called smartphone. So we're seasoned that way. And it's very interesting how you would say about the Scottish connection, because you know that the Scottish portrait artist, Archibald Sperling, is my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Wow.
Right?
And it's funny because I was just looking at the power that Scotland gave Black folk, okay, Scotland was maybe further ahead, maybe, I don't even know, but you look back, your great-great-great-grandfather and others are portrayed brilliantly in literature and everything from Scotland. I don't know, it's really interesting. That's what I have to study next. And you know that we both, probably you too, could have dual citizenship because of that. Okay, my last name allows me to have dual citizenship in Scotland and here because Lord Brockett fathered my line. But that also pissed off Gomer's offspring and the Pickaninnies, thinking that I thought I'm better because we didn't even talk about it. But I want to get back to something that you said. Remember, you might not, and our people who are listening, or I don't know if they're on or making mention or anything, but Strouder versus West Virginia, decided in 1870. Justice Brown wrote that the question was, could a newly freed slave sit on a jury? And what the justice wrote was, even though the newly freed slaves are abject, ignorant, childlike, and I forgot what abject, ignorant, childlike, there's another one, and unkempt, whatever, they can still sit on a jury. I find it abject, ignorant, childlike, and how in the world does that make any ancestors who were recently freed slaves allowed to sit on the jury? Well, let me tell you why they said that. Abject, ignorant, childlike, and mentally disturbed, whatever the fourth thing was. The reason they said that they could sit on a jury is because they know if that Black man sat on a jury with a bunch of white men, he better vote the way they say it. Okay? That's why they said he can sit. Because, am I wrong? Where did you go? Am I wrong? Anyway, so now I want to talk a little bit.
Are you ever wrong? Are you ever wrong?
Hey, I'm looking for I didn't hear you for a minute there. It bounced out.
We talked about over 10 years ago that are coming true now and has been coming true. Seriously.
That is what happens when God picks you out and says you're going to have your ass kicked, but you're chosen.
I want to show you something real quick. Let me show you something real quick. Okay. Let me see how I can work this thing here. Okay. You see that? You don't see it. That genealogy was done several years ago by somebody who used to listen to the show.
Right.
Archibald Skirving, actually. I said Sterling. But phonetically, see, Skirving is Skirving, but they didn't have computers back then.
Right.
And this guy got written documentation. You see there?
Yeah.
Sterling, Skirvin, the clan Tartan.
Right.
All of this here.
Yes.
These are all the names that Skirving, all kind of, it's like about a dozen of them.
Yes.
And he has, I'm Colin Powell's cousin, you know that, right?
See, I believe
tell
it.
you?
It's so funny. One of the guys that lives in my building is also his cousin. Last name is Powell. He's his cousin. God bless him. God rest him. But just think about the power that kind of lineage has and the power that it gives you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that is power. And I mean, we're bringing it up when I was in graduate school, and the daughter of Gomer asked me to clean her office. And I looked at her and said, I don't clean. Actually, I said, I don't clean. I grew up with maids. That's what I said. That really pissed her off. I mean, she's the daughter of Gomer. They converted in the 14th century. Anyway, what was interesting was she looked up my family history and brought it back to the faculty, saying, "Oh, Ramona's not really Black. Her grandmother's Spanish, and she is directly related to the Lords of Scotland. So we shouldn't be paying for her to get her PhD." I think I told you that story because
right.
It was brought to my mother's attention that summer at my parents' summer home by someone who sat as chair of my dissertation committee. That man happened to tell my mother what happened in the meeting and that I'd be losing my funding for my PhD. So I got the letter, and then we got the bill. My dad went, paid the bill, took the dean out to lunch, spoke to the dean in Yiddish, and then said, "When's Ramona getting her money back?" And I got it back that next semester. But this daughter of Gomer, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, please look at the 10th chapter of Genesis. So this daughter of Gomer was like, I'm going to get her. I'm going to teach her what it is to be Black before the end of her career. So because my family wasn't enslaved, that's why they came after me. I mean, these are people who scream, "Oh, Holocaust, anti-Semitism." But yet, if a Black person doesn't act the way they want them to, they will go after them like there's no tomorrow. That's what was happening with Eric Adams, our mayor here in New York.
Tell it.
He knew that Eric was going to go and jump on Trump's bandwagon. I knew it. And you know why? Because Eric realized that the things he was doing to help Black folk, especially in apartment buildings and anywhere where you would be sold short as a Black tenant, when those liberal Democrats found out what he was doing, that's when they came down on him. They did the same thing to me in Maryland. The liberals were able to tell the pickaninnies, "Oh, Ramona's not Black enough." Anyway, and the pickaninnies, "Oh, yes, ma'am, I'll go after her right now. Yes, ma'am." Anyway, so that is what we see here with Eric Adams. I mean, I know he had a whole committee set up for people who were being unduly harassed by landlords, most of whom are sons and daughters of Gomer. So, I mean, so he, in my own apartment, I didn't have a stove for 3 weeks. And oh, no, we can't get you a stove. This is supposed to be where I live. It's supposed to be a really nice place, it's real kind of upscale. Right. But a couple of things were happening that were interesting. All the people who looked like me in the building, they had a different door handle than the other people who didn't look like me. Wow. And I was like, wait a minute. And I happened to get the right door handle because another super came in to fix my door, and he actually gave me the correct door handle. What does this door handle do? Your door is locked when you close it. And if you have your own lock on it, nobody's supposed to be able to get in unless they play with the doorknob in such a way that they're able to let it go and then they can get into your apartment. But anyway.
Yeah.
Eric set up a whole thing for that. Even for these immigrants, Eric did all that he could. And then things got to be overwhelming. So who did he go to? He's a Democrat. He went to his master. What was his name? Oh, yeah, Biden from Delaware. Delaware has more Klan per square mile than Mississippi. Fact. Anyway, so he went to him. And he was ignored by him. Why? Because he was doing something outside of the scope of, I'll call it reality, okay?
Right.
He was helping out Black and Hispanic people and doing his job and dealing with all these immigrants coming here and. So Biden didn't help him. So he said, you know what? I bet you Trump will help me. And he did. Now people are calling for his resignation. He hasn't been found guilty on any count. But these people made all this stuff up. And trust and believe, they will not only, these Democrats, these liberals, and of course, Gomer's children are the ones who tell the liberals, the black liberals, what to do. You know, these liberals do not like it when you are black or Latino and independent. Now, there's a woman named Crockett, and everybody laughs. You know, she's one of these senators, you know, there in DC, and you always hear her saying something against Trump, etc. You know, and people just love to watch her. Well, as long as she's doing that, but the minute she starts doing too much for black folk, those liberal Democrats are going to kick her behind. Believe me. Okay. and let's just go down that road for a half a second.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I was talking to my father earlier and I said to him, you know, hip hop is dead. It's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
It's out. Yo, done. Stick a fork in it. Shish kebab. Exactly. And there's a reason why, and I don't know if we'll touch on it here, but we're going to touch on it in our next shows. But there's a reason why. I will say this: it was too empowering. Now, hip hop, when it started in the '80s, with who were our boys? Out of who was it? You know who I'm talking about?
Public
who
Enemy.
Was? Huh?
No, I'm saying Public Enemy. I mean,
yes, that's who. I just want to make sure you know who I'm talking about. When Public Enemy was doing their stuff, and then KRS-One came out with whoop whoop, that's the sound of the police. Okay, that freaked people out. I got so much
trouble on my mind. Refuse to lose.
That's it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And people couldn't handle that. What? Even living single. Yo, that came on Sunday nights. It was so empowering for people who looked like me. We were like going into our offices like, and then they took it off and put it on a Thursday.
It was going in a direction they didn't want. They had to take it over. 89, 90, NWA, and the gangster rap and the nudity and the nakedness. And they had the song Self-Destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Then people there, the hats took over and they funded promoting these different acts, the videos.
And who did they use to do it? The most twisted MF out there, who's now sitting in jail.
Right.
Okay. Listen, everybody liked, he's so cool. I almost went to I was invited to go to a party out on the Hamptons back in 2007. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, thank you.
Man, you wouldn't have made it. You would have ran out of there.
Boy, who you telling? I was like, thank you, but no thanks. You know, something just said, don't even try it, Ramona. Don't go there. It might be cool and everything. You might be cute and all that stuff, but okay.
They would have been like, come over here. Come over here. Come into this room. Come on.
Please. Turn on the red light. Turn on the red light. You heard about the red light? Turn on the red light. He had the red light going on. Anyway, so they loved that he was a true pickaninny. They loved it. They knew about his sexuality. They knew that they could have him drive the train and everybody would get on it. He was HNIC, head nigga in charge, house nigga in charge, whatever you want to say. But that's what he was.
Back in the day, everybody knew he loved to get down on his knees, but not to pray.
Honey hush.
Already.
Anyway, and look at what began to happen. Now, maybe you could see it. I couldn't, but who Christopher, what was Christopher called? His mom just died yesterday. It was Chris, and it was come on, I'm making you wake up and come back to America for a half a minute. It was Christopher Wallace. What did they call him? Biggie Small.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air. Right. Okay. Well, the person that he was flirting with was a dude dressed like a girl.
Did you see that?
The person he was laying in bed with was a dude. And in that same video,
when the woman was in the urinal
Exactly.
But wait now,
Exactly. Now,
remember LL Cool J? He,
okay.
he said he, she, and she. Because let me get something about him. I like LL Cool J. You know, me and him almost got in a fight. We were in the White Castle late one night, and I had a big old video camera of my friend shouting do this like the camera at my face. And I ignored him because I was more diesel than him. He was tall and skinny. When the whole place stood up and I realized all them cars out there, I was like, listen, we might get shot up, because that was a time when, because he was hanging with drug dealers and everything.
Walk slowly and cautiously. But
in the gay community, they were spilling the beans on him way back then. Let me see, as early as the late 80s.
I know. But see, here's the problem. You know, he was given, and I'm gonna say good nigga stuff. He had the liquor thing. He had the go out for the vote thing. He was given a key to New York City. You know, he could do whatever he wanted to do. Okay. And Clive was his man. Okay. Do you remember in slavery, what they call it? Buck training? Was that what they called it?
Yep.
Okay.
Buck breaking.
So what? But
you didn't have to break, did he? He was already broken in. He was. You just got to add water. We all knew.
Yeah, that's it.
Just like Eddie Murphy. He really blew up when he was just on Saturday Night Live. He was picking up trannies. Oh no, you're gonna keep that stuff quiet. They don't talk about it, but
they knew that they had those chains on his ankles. They knew it. And they knew that the minute he made the wrong move, they could pull him in and shut it down. Do you realize that when he got up there talking about, he sued this company and won.
Right.
With regard to his liquor, I think it was a tequila or something like that he wanted to promote, because he was promoting liquor for them. Whoa, Lord, pick a bill of cotton. He was promoting it for them. As long as he was promoting it for them, it was okay. But the minute he got up there talking about generational wealth, the minute he started talking about that, and he won against some very powerful families, 2 days later, they arrested his behind. 2 days later. Okay. And of course they used, listen, I'm not against homosexuals. I am the ultimate, I don't like what they call fag hag, but I'm the ultimate girl who loves my gays, and they love me. I love them. Okay. There's nothing wrong.
Look how you look.
I am not the judge.
Be feminine like you, the ones that are feminine.
Oh yes. They love me. Okay. Cause I'm just, yeah. But
you're a flamboyant heterosexual woman, so they figure they can catch some of the crumbs.
Absolutely. Listen, let me tell you, I have women in my age group who like to go out for coffee with me because they know that if they're with me, some men are going to come by and be attracted. So I don't go out for coffee with them. Let's push that one aside. Anyway. Hey, I'm about to be 63 in a couple months. God has been very good to me. And I have my father's genes, so thank you, Jesus, for that. Right. But here, the minute he starts talking about generational wealth, that's when he got in trouble. Let me tell you, who's the other guy that's Keith? Is it Keith Sweat? Who's the other guy that's in jail right now? Do I have the right name?
No, you're talking about R. Kelly.
Thank you.
R. Kelly?
R. Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't know all these people. And I never really liked his music. It was too it all sounded the same to me. But anyway, he also did something to generate wealth. He either bought, I don't know if he bought a series, like Michael Jackson owned all the stuff from the not the Monkees, whatever those people were called. Who were they? Who were the big people from England? The Beatles. Okay, so Michael Jackson owned all their stuff, right? Which meant that he owned half of Sony. Okay, he had to go. Okay.
Yeah.
R. Kelly was trying to also buy something similar. And let's go
Mhm.
to who's the guy with the pudding and the pudding pops?
Yeah.
Bill Cosby. He got in trouble for trying to buy NBC. How dare
NBC.
he? How
Mhm.
dare he? Okay. Most recently, I can say in my own family, maybe to 21, I and my friend, he and I went down to Virginia Beach and stopped by. We have a family church and a graveyard. We had a huge farm, which was commercialized. A portion of the family sold it off recently. But my cousin told me she was on a little tractor at the church going through, and the graveyard says Brockett, 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 or Grimstead, Grimstead, Grimstead. Okay. And I think
Mhm.
there's some Williams in there, but Brockett and Grimstead. Okay. What kind of names are Brockett and Grimstead? You do not expect me to walk in a room when my last name is Brockett. Anyway, no one who looks like me. Anyway, she said to me, she's like, Ramona, she said, all these people have become extremely interested in how we as a family have been able to have these properties since the 1800s. Because my family was quiet about it. Okay. We didn't talk about we were never enslaved in America or in Jamaica. Of course, to a certain extent, we were enslaved in Jamaica because she was bought by Lord Brockett and she was his woman. And she
Right.
couldn't get up and go back to Ghana and see the. Okay.
There's a lot of similarities, in our story.
So many similarities in our story.
Yeah.
Tell me what the similarity is, then I'll get back to making my point. Go ahead. Tell me.
Lancescurv, who's my great, 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 how many greats, right?
Mhm.
The portrait artist. Right? He was so bad with art. He has his own Wikipedia page to this day. I mean, like modern time. But his
Amazing.
son saw the opportunity of what's going on with slavery in Jamaica. And he left Scotland, came to Jamaica, had slaves, but married one of them. Now we don't know her name, so it's unnamed slave. And it's on that page that I just showed you. And everybody coming down the list, what they did for a living, who they were, what part of Jamaica they lived in, who they married and who they divorced, coming right down to me. You see what I mean? So it doesn't make me any better. It doesn't make you any better when you notice stuff, but it's empowering when you see what's coming down, that you come from something strong.
And how dare you? Lance, how dare you come from something? How dare you?
And my grandmother, whose last name is McCoy.
Hatfields and McCoys. Go ahead.
Yeah, the married name is Scurvin. Hence, my father coming into being, Scurvin Jr. But the McCoys are all related in Jamaica. I've never said all this stuff publicly, but all the McCoys are related. So guess who Colin Powell's mother's last name is? McCoy.
McCoy.
But the guy who did my genealogy, there were several McCoy sisters, right? My grandmother, who we call Grandma BB, right? The name is in there, but I'm so used to Grandma BB. I never saw her face to face. But when she passed away that night, right before my mother got the phone call, I was standing up in the crib, smiling, reaching up in the middle of the night in a strange way. And then she got a phone call in the middle of the night, right? So she always wanted to see me. So this is why I know there's a connection with us and our ancestors. But that's why Colin Powell is my direct cousin.
Wow.
But we figure out what sister it was. Out of all the sisters, McCoy sisters, my grandmother is sister to his mother.
Wow.
You see what I mean?
Wow.
Even though he's older than me. Because cousins, it could be the difference of age where, you can, or even uncles. Have you ever seen situations where you have an uncle that's younger than a nephew? Because
listen,
ages. But that's what
Yes.
it is. It's like
Yes.
I'm new. It's not
Yes.
like 15 years ago. It's not like I could have called him up when he was alive and say, "Hey, Colin Powell, come on to my show."
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people in my
Mm-hmm.
family that are influential, that are caught up in the entertainment industry, and we can't really talk because of the things I say. So when you know these things, when you know your background, when you know the powerful people you come from, it's like
That's
my mother always showed me.
empowering to you. That gives you kahunas. You know, you got
Yeah,
psychological balls. You don't think about, oh, I can't do this, or I can't go over there, or I which so many Blacks in America think that way. They just feel like they're limited. And
right.
you know, I want to finish up about Mayor Adams, but it was
Yeah,
interesting way back in '93 when this professor was telling the other people at the university, take my funding away.
right.
You know, her whole thought was, and what she said to the faculty was, well, Ramona says things to the other Black students to make them think they can do this and they can do that, but they can't. Really? So because of
Right.
my lineage, I can't tell other Black folk how to make it, what to do,
Right.
how to do.
Right.
You know, why I can't?
Right.
Why? Because in Stroud versus West Virginia, abject, ignorant, childlike, and whatever the fourth thing was.
Yeah.
I am that. How dare I think I'm anything other than that? But you
Right.
know,
Right.
I'll tell you one of the most powerful things that was said by a president in America. Washington said this: the slaves should never know where they actually come from or who they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's recorded in history that George Washington said that. So who are we? I've done
That's
a lot
right.
of research and it's very interesting. It's
Before you go back,
very interesting.
I just want to show you one more thing, really
Mhm.
quick.
Mhm.
All right, that's my my mother's cousin, which is my cousin. I mean, that was
Okay.
cousins. Loretta Warren. I
Okay.
wanted to bring a picture up, but I pulled the whole page.
Was
You
she
see,
a model? Was she a model?
yeah, and she's on the cover of Jet magazine. She did some acting, but she was a top model. This is back in the 50s.
She was the first Black supermodel.
One of them. I think there was
Okay.
some before, but yeah, but you know, of course, in the day, you got to damn near pass for white or have those kind of looks and skin complexion. You see what I mean? So
Of
I'm aware of that. But
Of course.
the other side, it's Warrens from Ohio, Virginia, and stuff. And there's a host of people around me. I never knew her, right? That picture was taken years before I was born, but that's in the 50s. What I'm saying is that me knowing these things and the dignity that my mother brought to my life and my father, like I never had a confidence problem. I didn't have to prove anything. But when you mess, you're not. That's why I had problems with teachers in school.
You and me both. You and me both.
You don't like it because their job is just like when you have a perfect lawn and that one piece of grass pops up. And that person who is hired to be there all the time, he's got to cut that thing down. So those small hats and their wives, that's why they put so much in the New York City public school system, numbered Goldsteins, Silverbergs, all this, all that. And check it out. When you got too much, and too much momentum, and they can spot something in you, it's their job to terminate your enthusiasm and relegate you to mediocrity and do whatever they can do.
It's their job to break you down. They used to buck break, and once the emancipation thing happened, which is BS, you know, if that emancipation really meant anything, they wouldn't be able to have the Electoral College. Okay? Anyway, they really wouldn't. They wouldn't be able to have it because it wouldn't be able to exist because the 3/5 human thing and the 3/5 compromise would have been struck down. So you know that all of this really meant nothing. That's why they could sign every 25 years, re-sign for Black folk to vote, give written permission. But let me just finish this up with Eric. I understand why he went to Trump, because he knew that even though Trump is portrayed as this racist, blah, 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 which he might be, I don't know. I just know his new friend and his new friend's son is a little crazy. But anyway, you know, I mean, he knew that while Trump was being portrayed in that way,
right,
that he could use him to get down the road. And he did. My prediction, they're talking about the people who are going to be running and all the people who were at this debate the other night. None of them really make any, yeah. But Cuomo is jumping back in the race.
Really?
Yeah. Eric decided not to go to that debate. Okay. This is what I think is going to happen. I think that Cuomo is going to be the next mayor of New York. And I think that Trump is going to put Eric on his cabinet. That's what I think is going to happen.
Wow.
I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. And I may have given something away. I didn't hear that. Say that again.
Listen, you haven't been wrong yet.
Oh, I could be wrong. God knows. But that's what I think.
Over there somewhere.
What'd you say? Say that again. What'd you say?
I said, you got the crystal ball behind you over there somewhere.
I don't know where it is.
You've never been wrong.
It's not in my cup, which has a picture of my dog on it. Isn't that so cute? Anyway.
It might be a cup.
Okay. And I refuse to drink. I drink tea, but this is not any kind of tea conversation. This is coffee.
Right.
Anyway, you know, this is real. But I think that that's what's going to happen with Mayor Adams. I know we're going to continue these talks. And I'm happy that we did this. And I hope that the people who upload it and listen and watch can open their minds to understanding what's really going on in America. America, what's next, right? So one other thing I want to say in this discussion is this whole thing, I want to get back to St. Augustine's, is this whole thing about schooling. How are our kids going to make it? They've gotten rid of hip hop, that's gone. You know, if you're a basketball player and you say anything about from Hebrew to Negro, you're going to get sued for millions because you're being anti-Semitic. Let me think, what else? There are other things, you know, that people need to understand. And that is that schooling, we're back to schooling our children. We're back to schooling our people, Lance. St. Augustine's was excellent for this little cohort that went there and did very well with their lives. But just yesterday, they were talking about how Black and Hispanic students score low on English and math. That's a freaking crock. I've always said that integration was a more cogent form of segregation. And why do I say that? You know, I graduated high school in 1980. We moved to Madison first, then we lived in Florham Park, then we lived in Madison, all in Jersey. And what was interesting was when I was in 6th grade, we left Madison, went to Florham Park. Do you know that my 6th grade teacher recommended that I be in the slower C-level classes, not the A-level classes? So when we went to Florham Park and we're sitting down with the counselor, the school counselor, he looked, he said, this must be a mistake. Why would that teacher have put you here? You're supposed to be in these classes. So I was in gifted and talented, okay? But here's my point. You're going to say that Black and Hispanic students can't read or do math? We created math. The Moors are who helped this whole world, whether it's flat or round, okay, to understand math, science, how to plow your fields, how to not smell like crap, okay? They're the ones who did this for the world, okay? Yes. They were the World Wide Web, okay? So how in the world in 2025 can our kids read and do math? It's a crock. what happens is while everything's integrated, it's a more cogent form of segregation, because then you can recommend that these students are in the C classes, or they should be trained to do labor, something like that, as opposed to moving them up to higher classes. I'm thankful that my parents left Madison, went to Florham Park, and then came back to Madison, because these people would have tried to do that to me. So my thought is this: because we can no longer, go to the Attorney General of America when there is a voting infraction or unfairness in voting, because the Obama administration through Eric Holder got rid of that right, which now makes us have to go to the municipality, then the state, then the appeals, then the state, the head court of the state, and then possibly appeal to be heard by the United States Supreme Court, or if it's in the federal section, from the magistrate up to the federal courts at the top of the chain of courts, and then appeal to see. In other words, my point is, we have to go through a whole lot of hoops just to vote now. A whole lot of hoops, and it's not changing anytime soon. And for all those who are like, Obama, yeah, thank him for putting us back to 1870, when the court said blacks could vote, but only on the federal level. And the 15th Amendment was invoked and was codified so that blacks could vote for the president, but not anything else. Okay. So we are almost right back there, Lance. That's where we are. And I believe it's incumbent upon me to tell people, start putting schools together. The last thing I'm going to say, these two young women from Brooklyn during COVID, they noticed that their students' parents had no idea how to deal with the computers so that the students could get their lessons. So they began to tutor. Now they have a school, which is fabulous, because they are helping these kids think. Even when these kids go home, even if their parents don't want them to think, even if their parents don't want them to be logical, even if their parents don't want them to understand how to speak English properly, and that the hip hop language is not the language we should be speaking, even if their parents don't know that they shouldn't be promoting that, at least when these kids get to school, they will have people who will listen to them talk and tell them how to speak, who will work through these math problems with them. I just was telling my dad a couple hours ago, he's the one who taught me how to study in 7th grade. He said, Ramona, do this, and it worked. I'm a JD PhD, it worked. But not everybody's parents have that. But I come from a lineage of people just like you, who had their own businesses, who understood the power of the mouth and language and talk, who knew how to negotiate things, who knew how to keep quiet about what they had, because they knew that the minute they opened their mouth, everybody would come in and they knew what to do that. And they're the ones generationally, all the way down to my dad and then me, who taught me how to fight, who taught me how to survive people coming and trying to strip everything from you because you're not the right kind of black.
Wow. Excellent. 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 As always.
Every once in a while you break up and I don't hear everything you just said. So say it again.
Excellent. Excellent. You're better than ever, like fine wine. You're finer than you were before. You stand you now next to the one from 15 years ago and 10 years ago. Blow it away. And you know more.
Wait.
And everything you were saying back then.
The people who came after me look so terrible. And you know why? When you promote a lie, that lie's going to eat you up. They look old as dirt. And they're always trying to follow me. These same people who broke into my Verizon account and attached all my emails to the university server. Those people are bugging. But you know what? There's only one God. Hashem, there's only one God. Yahweh, there's only one God. That's what his name says. If you look at his name, that's what it says. And he's the one that gives us the breath in our nostrils. You know, as a Caribbean person, what can they do to me? They can take my body, they can beat me up, they can break everything on me, but guess what? They can't take my soul.
There you go.
It's not for sale. We will continue this conversation, but for now, Lance, I'm happy that we're back on the internet.
Yes. Yes. And things will never be the same.
Ever.
They'll get better. That's right.
Fine wine with age. So thank you for letting me be on this.
Thank you.
For those people, let me just do the disclaimer. I have nothing against gays. I have nothing against white people. I don't even have anything against Gomer's offspring. I just have something against a system that wants to break a person down when that person knows exactly who they are and where they come from.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Let's keep it going. You give me the phone call when you're ready. Yeah, I know you still have a busy schedule.
It's kind of crazy.
I don't know what time of day or night it is. Like you see, we've been on for the last hour
and 1 minute. I didn't want to go over an hour. So
over here, it's 3:13 a.m. No problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, anytime. This is what I do. Y'all know for you. Look, we were talking before and you said.
Now, mind you, can they hear this talk right now that we're doing?
Work with it long. Say it again.
I said, can they hear this talk that we're doing right now? Because I want it like cut off at 101.
This is cut off. I mean, no, I can end it right now. It still
says on my end, it says live 101 and 47 seconds.
Yeah, we're still live.
Oh,
so I'm gonna cut it right now. But you have a lot of folks in the room that were saying some wonderful things about you.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Hi, folk in the room. I had no idea.
And everything. So I'm going to end this with no music. I'm just going to end it like this. I got to work on some new graphics for our show, new intros, new this, new that. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to jazz it up. I threw this together with the Ramona Brockett up top and a grid back. I like that grid background, you know. So we're going to do more of that, fresh it up, and we're going to come with it. And I got some more tricks of the trade. Like I said, with the other things, we got to get you set up in there. It's going to have you go out even more. Because whenever me and you get together, you and I get together,
it's an explosion, baby.
That's right. We're gonna come with it. Boom, boom, boom.
100.
So everybody, 100. The show that we're gonna do tomorrow night, and it's gonna be 10 my time, 5 o'clock East Coast time, and this is what it's gonna be. Let me see, because I got something blocking here. I have to go around. So this particular topic. I'm just going to show it real quick on the banner.
Ooh,
come on, banner.
Poetic justice.
His trailer park trophy delivered poetic justice. If you know about that story, do know that I have my notes written down. I'm going to go in on this type of mentality that both of them had, and it's going to be something. Now, if I'm out later, I'll push it back to 6 o'clock East Coast time. But I'm going to do it. I have everything written out already. It is what it is. If you know what this story is all about. So that's all I want to say. So be ready for that. Be ready for that. All right? So let's
enjoy. Thank you.
Yes.
And by the way, I know it'll just be the Lancescurv show with Dr. Ramona. That's all. But
we're going to do the Dr. Ramona Brockett show with Lancescurv. No problem. Oh, we do it the same. No, this is a Dr. Ramona Brockett show.
Okay.
Maybe we can it's Lancescurv, Ramona Brockett, Lancescurv, whichever.
Wait, tell me something. How will I be able to put this up on my social media? Are you going to send me a link that I can put on the page?
What I'm going to do, YouTube, and we're still live, YouTube will take forever to make any link down, probably be ready tomorrow. But I got a trick up my sleeve. 5 minutes after, I got little tricks, right? Now the file will be a certain size, right?
Okay.
It may be too big to email to you, right? But I'm gonna work around that too. I gotta have you hook up with something so we can do it free, right?
Okay, cool.
It's a big size file. Video is big. See, we have video here. If we were just talking, it would be a smaller file. It'd be easy to get to you. But this size file, video, you know, so it's no problem. But oh no, I got something for you. I got something for you.
Okay.
I'll show you where to go and get it. I'm gonna go to bed. I know you're probably gonna go down too. If I wasn't,
oh yeah, I got it. I got some things I have to do before I go to bed tonight.
Right.
So you know, and it's only 10:17 here, so you know.
Right. This is what I'm gonna do. If I wasn't gonna go to sleep, I have 20 minutes. But then I get off to go on the computer and work, go to bed. If I get up to answer call to nature, I'll rub my eyes and say boom, and I'll send it to you. Because that's what I do.
I appreciate
when
it.
I get up,
especially because our girl, our girl Treshelle has been like asking me for a couple of years now, and I'm like, I love her. She's wonderful. So I told her we're gonna do it. So she's gonna be one of the first ones I notify.
Exactly. I know she's gonna be happy to see this.
Oh yeah, and others. There are others who have. There's that guy from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That you knew. You know, a bunch of people have been like, "What the heck is up?" And it's just that. And let me just say this, since we're still live.
Right.
The people came after me, poisoned me, and I got very, very ill. And I have been dealing with that poisoning, you know, since July of 2014. It was a deliberate poisoning, and the people, the police people in Maryland refused to not only to acknowledge it, but to even investigate it, which I find to be egregious. So, but let them do what they do, because you know. But anyway, the result of all of it was that it has affected my joints badly, and it mimics rheumatoid arthritis, osteo, etc. So since 2018, I've had a reconstructed Achilles tendon, 2 new full knee replacements, a full hip replacement, and 7 tumors taken off my right ovary. This is all because my family wasn't enslaved. Anyway, so that's a big reason why, like, I had to pull back, because I was in and out of the hospital so much since 2018 is insane. And my last major surgery on the right knee was last April. And, you know, there were some complications following that. So I am very happy to be on here. I'm happy that, you know, God has restored me, because with all that, I should look like Methuselah. You know what I mean? And, you know,
that's going to happen.
Listen, God. And last thing, my hair. Remember I told you when I taught at the Black college, a dean said to me, you wear your hair and you have such nice hair, but you wear it in a rebellious fashion. Anyway, I had locks, you know, and I enjoyed my locks for the 15 years I had my locks. But now that I'm older, you know, I'm blowing the stuff straight, because we found out that those hair straightening products caused cancer and caused the kind of tumors that I had taken off my right ovary. So, so this is just blown straight and ready to go.
Well, it's a frame for a beautiful face. Regardless as to how you wear your hair, that's got to take a second backseat to your face. And not only that, a person can have a beautiful face and a nasty spirit. You got a beautiful, resilient spirit, and that shines through regardless.
Thank you. I also have some deadly curves, but we're going to leave that one alone. Anyway.
Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in.
To you, because you'll be up until probably 5 o'clock in the morning.
I can stay up the whole next day. I have reserves in me, like I got 2.5 days worth of reserves. I don't
amazing.
Unless I need it. It's peaceful up here in the mountains, fresh air. I can walk around. I can go down far, I can walk around the property with no clothes on. Nobody can see me. I can get fruit. I got bananas out there ripening up. I got all these bananas.
Stop. The satellites can see you.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if they can see through a poured concrete floor, a couple of with steel inside of it, you know what I mean? Well, the satellite can see me if they want to. I'm getting my vitamin D, right? A satellite dish, if it's real small, just my face, it can't get as much as my whole body. I can't say to anybody, kiss where the sun don't shine, because every part of me, the sun shines.
Ooh, all right now. Nothing like a shiny honey. All right now.
Anyway, yes. I'm gonna just wrap it down like this. We got that show tomorrow night. I might squeeze one in earlier than that if I get home earlier. There'll be articles, there'll be things that I'll be doing. I might go live when I'm on the street. We'll see. We're gonna keep with the content. Boom, 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 boom. It's gonna get worse in the next 2 weeks as far as how much, right? Put in. So anyway, thank you so much. Frequently until you come back on. We have so much to talk about.
We will be back on very soon because we just started and I have a whole lot of stuff I want to talk about. All that stuff. See, because you're going to make a mistake if you forget your history. You're going to make a huge mistake. And, I want people to be ready for this because America's on the precipice of having to deal with her mistakes.
In a major way.
Major.
That's right. Okay. 11 seconds will be off. Thank you everyone for attending, for being here. And it's wonderful. And it's back to the future, right? The good times are here. We're going to tear it up. Thank you, Dr. Ramona. Stay on.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes, thank you. We'll knock this off right